what's the worst part of cruising aside from it ending? And that is a difficult question because she ruled out my answer. I always say that last night on the ship where the luggage tags appear when you come back from dinner, like that is the image of sadness for me. That's a low moment. Even though you got a couple hours left, you know that it's just like sands through the hourglass. It's hard to identify a worst part of cruising for me personally. I think that there have been instances where things aren't the greatest. I think the worst part, actually, no, wait, I think I can answer this. The safety briefing.
Brutal. Oh, my.
Safety briefing. It's necessary. We endorse it. We respect it. We're still waiting for suggestions to make it better.
Yeah.
But I think, that's the most brutal half hour you're going to spend on the ship.
Yeah.
If you're lucky, it's only half an hour.
Yeah.
And
depends on where you are, and
that's the only thing I think that's consistently bad. The other thing, it's like you might encounter the odd thing that could be problematic. Like if you run into weather, if your port gets canceled, there's things that could be frustrating. And one thing that we've mentioned before, but I can't say this enough, don't sail out of Jacksonville if you're not an American. Because that's one thing that's consistent, is if you're going back to Jacksonville, you will be forced to wake up earlier than all of the Americans and go into a lounge and wait for 45 minutes while nothing happens, then have a brief conversation with the border guard, go back to your room, and then like a half hour after that is when everybody else wakes up. You get your stuff together, you get off the ship, and then you go through customs and you have the exact same conversation with a different border guard all over again. It seems absolutely a big fat waste of time. It's useless. If it wasn't for that, Jacksonville's great. There's a lot of amenities near the airport, which is quite nice. That's the one where you sail under the bridge, I think.
Yes.
To get out.
Yeah. So it's good for that.
So sailing out is good, but sailing out is...
Yeah. Well, and the bridge thing is cool because you're watching that, you're thinking that bridge is going to hit the funnel.
It's inches.
It feels like that. And I still need to edit that video, but we'll have video coming out hopefully soonish of, that was the Fascination, I believe. That was Fascination, yeah. That was sailing out of there. But the problem also is with Jacksonville having that bridge that the cruise ships have to go under, I think they're limited as to the size of the vessel.
Yes.
So I think it can only be Fantasy class, which is the smallest size of vessel in Carnival's fleet. I believe they're swapping out the Fascination for something else in Jacksonville. But anyways, one Fantasy class is very similar to another, in my opinion. So anyway, so for me, it's generally speaking, safety briefing sucks. And in terms of a specific port, returning to Jacksonville, those are my two worst parts of cruising.
I think queuing on your way into the cruise is also a bit brutal. It'll probably be less of an issue once you get to like a higher level, like you get platinum and whatnot. But
by the end of the year, it's one of my New Year's resolutions: make platinum by the end of the year or early 2017. I think I can make it happen.
But yeah, just kind of the queuing is again, it's kind of like safety briefing. You have to put up with it because unless you want to pay to get out of it, you can't do that with a safety briefing. You just have to kind of stand there for upwards of a couple hours, honestly.
I think that's anomalous.
Well, that Miami one, when we did the Breeze, we were in line for a good couple hours. And
get on board? Was it really that long? I was sleep deprived. I don't remember it very well.
Well, I think we showed up like the earliest possible time you can show up, which was like 10 a.m., and we didn't get on the ship until afternoon.
Okay. Wow. Well, a couple things I would want to say about that is most of the larger ports and larger ships have now instituted check-in times. So my experiences since the Breeze have been, I would breeze on board. I would rarely be waiting in line for very long. It doesn't feel like very long. You have to go through your security checkpoint similar to the airport, although not quite as rigorous. And you also have to sign in and get your room key and that sort of thing. And then you might possibly have to wait after that. Out of 11 cruises, I think I've waited twice after that step. Normally it's just walk on the ship. And then out of 11 cruises, maybe 3 or 4 times the room wasn't ready right away. So more than half the time the room was ready. And if it's not, so what? Go up on Lido and grab a cheeseburger. It's not...
Good cheeseburgers too.
Yeah, it's not that bad. But you do have, Mindi was mentioning, you can pay your way out of it. So on Carnival, there's something called Faster to the Fun, which I believe is about an additional $50 per cabin, not per person. So it's got that going for it. Where you can basically be treated as if you're platinum. In terms of getting onto and off the ship, and that includes getting off on a tender. I haven't done it personally. I want to earn my way into platinum, and I'm cheap.
It doesn't seem worth it.
And the thing is, waiting in line, you might meet new people. That might be nice, might not.
Yeah, the ones we were in the lineup with the last one, they were not. Well, we had to be detoured on the last cruise that my husband and I went on with his mom and our son. On the Sunshine, we were impacted by Hurricane Joaquin. Those videos are now out, so check them out. But yeah, this guy, it sounded like he'd stayed out for like 10 years or something like that. And he was like his first ever cruise, and he was so excited. I'm going to go to Bermuda. No, you're not. And so he was understandably pretty upset. I mean, he's trying to, for the first 20 minutes or so, he was kind of fuming. And after a while, he started to kind of take it on the chin a little bit, but
started to see the humor in it.
Yeah,
I think eventually,
because he realized that there's literally nothing he could do about it.
And the fact is, you're still going on a cruise. You're still on the ship. You're still going to go see some cool things.
But I think the Bermuda was also the big. I think there was those were the two things. Like he was going to go on a cruise, and he was going to go to Bermuda, and he was going to get both of those checked off his list. And then he's like, and it took him years to save up for this. Oh, wow. And it's like,
well, it just gives him an excuse to go on another cruise.
That's what we said.
Just like,
that's what we
but you got
said.
to choose your moment to say that because if he's still in the initial shock, he hasn't processed it. Yeah. And that's one of the things about if you have a longer queue, if you're suddenly handed a piece of paper that says, by the way, your entire vacation plans have gone a little askew, gives you time to process that information. And so when we were waiting to get on the Sunshine, I think that was a longer wait than usual, probably pushing 45 minutes. But because we were kind of scrambling to process this information, it actually didn't feel as long because we were like on the Wi-Fi trying to look up, like, I've never been to San Juan. I know that Sam had been, but we were still returning to the same port on the same day and time. But, we didn't book anything outside of Carnival. So, we were okay there. But, I think that, he took it in stride eventually and had a sense of humor about it. And, of course, Carnival offered a 25% discount on the next cruise of approximate length, which we have used towards our upcoming trip going back to Atlantis on the Dream out of New Orleans in late August that we're looking forward to.
60 more days.
Yeah, we've got a pretty big group. We've got, 7 at this point, and so possibly more will be added. And different people are leaving it.
Sam's coming.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I won't be able to.
Well, you have to book your time off pretty far in advance.
Yeah, I
so
do.
You have a bid process and that sort of thing. Mike, what's the worst part of cruising for you? Do you think?
I think it's the rough seas. It's
nausea.
Nausea, but it's not turbulence. It's
motion sickness.
Motion sickness. Thank you. It also depends on what room you are staying in too. Like U2, don't stay there unless you enjoy listening to the anchor drop and shake the whole room.
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's
crap.
What's that?
We just booked the Imagination for December, and I got us E1.
Oh,
I forgot about the anchor. Now,
I guess we have an anchor thing to deal with.
You gotta.
Well, it depends on which side the anchor comes out on. When they drop anchor,
but can you?
They drop anchor at Catalina though, so that will be concerning Catalina. I don't know if they drop it when they're in port.
If they're in port and there's a
they get the lines. They probably don't
need
the lines.
Yeah, they won't need the.
No, I remember what it was. It was on the $24 cruise. I had a similar cabin in the port aft quarter, but they were doing maintenance on the hull of the ship, and so I was woken up at like 6 in the morning and I'm like, this is how they got me for the $24 cruise deal. That's how I paid for it. But anyways, we're on Empress deck, which is deck 7 versus U, which is I think a deck or two below. So maybe we'll be far enough away, and maybe the anchor won't pop up on that side. I knew there was something I was forgetting about. Yeah. Having those forward portholes. I love a porthole, but
if you have motion sickness and you get nauseous very easily, I recommend Gravol.
Do you ever get them? Try them C-band thingies?
No.
Or what about the behind the ear
things?
Patch?
I've never heard those. No.
Yeah, no. There's
a lot of people swear by them. I don't know.
C-bands, where it's like a wristband that you wear, and it has some sort of like anti-nausea thing that kind of just soaks into the skin. And there's other things you can wear behind the ears.
I didn't know that.
And apparently both. I don't have motion sickness, so it's not really anything that affects me.
I don't normally do. Like if I'm on a sailboat, like a small sailboat, I am gone. I'm done for.
Oh, sailboats.
But a big ship, it doesn't matter. It has to be rocking constantly. Like when we were on the Paradise.
That was fun.
Well, it was fun, but
for me.
Not the point where I was sick.
Yeah. I sympathize with you, but I was having fun because I'd pay more for that because I'm the amusement park guy.